Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, all participants. We are welcoming you all in this webinar session. My name is Raza Khan, TORG Pakistan Chapter Chairperson, and I would like to invite my TORG Pakistan Vice Chairperson, Mr. Abu Bakr, for the formal moderation and start this webinar. Mr. Abu Bakr, can you start? Okay. So let's introduce what is the Operating Room Global to all new members and new joinees. The Operating Room Global is a professional platform for operation theater staff, OR family, including physicians, surgeons, anesthetists, OR technologists, CSD professional, runners, recovery nurses, perfusionists, and all of enhance the operating room professionals' knowledge and skills. We are currently now in 23 countries. We have 23 chapters across the globe, and one of the chapter is Pakistan, and it is pioneered and founded in the Nigeria. So I would like to start. With this, I would like to invite our speaker, Mr. Naveed, and Mr. Naveed is our Pakistan chapter Secretary General.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Naveed. Today's webinar topic is Essential Quality Assurance Standard in CSSD. In this webinar, we will share about the CSSD quality assurance standards. The Central Sterilization Department plays a critical role in the infection prevention and control, as you know. And that's why we did in our community and our chapter is understand about this system, and the CSSD play a critical role in assuring the safety of medical devices and the equipments usually we are using in our healthcare settings. So quality assurance standards is essential for the healthcare standards. There are so many standards we are using in our CSSD and the healthcare settings. But here we will define and we will elaborate the CSSD quality assurance standards. So first of all, it is a mandatory. Some terminology defines the terminology we are using in our webinar. First is the quality controls and quality assurance. What is the quality control? Actually, quality control, when we are using this term, is used about the product services meet the specific standard of quality before they are delivered to customers. So in our CSSD, we were delivered to our instrumentations and medical devices and other equipments before the delivering the instruments, equipments, the OR or some other clinics like that. So before delivered, we will make sure the quality is standard or not. This is called the quality control when we are talking about in CSSD. What about the quality assurance? Organization to ensure the products, services, and systems meet the desired quality standards. This quality assurance these standards we are used basically what we are doing the process in our CSSD. As you know, we have three zones: decontent zone, packing zone, and the sterilization zone. We are doing the different process in our these zones. So it is mandatory for us the quality assurance, which standard and which indicator we are using for the maintain the quality. So in perspective of CSSD, QC is about the detecting the defects during and after the sterilization. Before sterilization, we are doing the process, so we have to maintain some indicators. So what about the quality control is about the detecting the defects during and after the sterilization. Means when we are doing some process and after the sterilization, if there are some defective in our sterilization process and in our machines, this covers the QC, quality control. And about the QA, quality assurance is about ensuring the system and processes are the place to prevent the defects and maintain continuous improvement. Means in our process, our sterilization, CSSD, we are performing, as you know, I explained before, in 3 zones, we are doing the so many processes in the CSSD department. So before in this department, and when we are doing the reprocess, to maintain the continuously same and consistency in the process, it's called we are using the quality assurance standard. Quality assurance standards tells us about the indicators and the standard and SOPs. How can we our process maintain the continuously improvement and consistency? How can we run the process consistency? Both work together to maintain the highest standard of patient safety and sterilization effectiveness in the CSST. So here is two more terminology we are using in our presentation: validation and verification. Is most important because in the we are using the different process in our CSSD. This terminology is very critical and very essential components for the quality assurance. So what is the validation? Validation ensures that the final product or system meets the customer needs. Means our final in CSSD final customer is OR. So we have to when we are process is finished, so our requirements and department's visions and the goals is to achieve the sterility and the safe for the our instruments and medical devices is safe for the patient safety. So it is very mandatory. Our process is validated and verification. What is the verification? Verification ensure that a product is being built correctly according to specified requirements, standard, and design documents. Verification is showing when we are doing the process in our CSSD in the different zone, so we have to some follow the some as such standards and indicators who verify our process is validated or not. So that is called the verification. Suppose we have a decontamination zone and packing zone and the sterilization. We have so many machines we are using. So disinfector, washer disinfector, ultrasonic cleaners, and the sterilizers, and so many things we are using, like sealing machine for the sealing purposes. So if our machine, once it is installed and validated by the our manufacturer, after that we have to run the smooth function and consistency the process. We have to run the daily routine cycles and indicators. We are using the indicators for the quality assurance our to validate that machine is working as per the manufacturer instructions. Means once our manufacturer instruct that that machine is working and they will achieve that means that parameters. So uh, how can we validate that machine is working on daily basis same consistency or not? That one is indicators. We will discuss here which standard we can meet in the quality assurance standards, and how can we daily basis can make sure that our quality is assurance is making the smooth function or not. So main quality assurance importance is patient safety and the operational efficiency. Quality assurance standard, when we are talking about that one, so two goals in our CSSD for the quality assurance. First is patient safety. Preventing infections and ensuring the patient safety is paramount. Quality assurance measures guarantee instruments are free from contamination. So first goal is when we are delivering the instruments in the OR, so our instruments should be free from contaminations. And the other one is most important thing is operational efficiency. Quality assurance help optimize the process, reduce the waste, improve the overall efficiency in CSSD operations. Means quality assurance tells us about the how can optimize the process, how can we monitor the process, and can reduce the waste of our time, waste of our different many packing materials, and what we are using during the process in CSSD. Overall efficiency of the CSSD operations. Also, we can improve the what indicator SOPs, who can stand that indicators means once we are using the SOPs, and how can we format the SOPs and KPIs. Process validation, actually basic things in the when we are using the quality assurance in our CSSD, basically is a process validation. Process validation from the beginning of our CSSD means when we are receiving the instruments in our decontamination area and from to the sterilization delivery, that is called all the process should be validated. So basic three aims for the quality assurance in our CSSD: process validation, indicators, and sterilization equipments. Means first is process validation. What we are using in our CSSD machines like disinfectors, sterilizers, ultrasonic cleaners, and different sealing machines and papers and packing materials like that we are using, it should be validated. Means this will be compatible with our instruments, and that machine we are using for the process should be compatible with the medical devices. So second one is indicator. What indicator we are using should also be fixed with the process. Means some process to validate the we are using the indicators. This indicator, that indicators all should be validated and should also be compatible with that process. If an indicator is not compatible with that process, we cannot achieve the quality assurance level. So third one is the main aim for the quality assurance is the sterilization equipments. Regularly calibrate the maintain the sterilization equipments to ensure the accuracy and the reliability. So it is very important thing in the quality assurance standard. Our machine also daily basis calibration. So if our machines are compromised, we cannot make sure our process is okay and our process, our sterility, we gain the sterility assurance level. So it is very important things, these three things to process validation. There is a quality assurance standard and guideline we are using in our CSSD. First is most important is AAMI. Association of Advancement of Medical Instrumentation provides the essential standard for sterilization and reprocessing. So that one is a main pillar of the CSSD when we are going to build the any SOPs and KPIs. So we should have to follow the AAMI standards. So second one is the FDA guidelines. The Food and Drug Administration offers the guideline of medical device safety and the sterilization. So FDA also give us some guidelines regarding the how can we maintain the sterility. They are telling about the device categories like that, which categories we are using the steam sterilization, and which instrument we are using the further reprocess. They are telling about the medical devices safety and the sterilization processes. And CDC recommendation. Here is the third one. The Center Disease Control and Prevention provides a recommendation in infection prevention and control. CDC is most famous guidelines, gives us about the sterilization and the disinfection. So they also give us the recommendation which guidelines we have to follow to achieve the patient safety level. So fourth one is Joint Commission standard. The Joint Commission sets standards, the accreditation for the healthcare facility, including CSST. As you know, every hospital is going to join the JCI for the accreditation. So they gives us also some SOPs and the standard. How can we follow that standard and give the accreditation for the mandatory guidelines? So fifth one is ISO standard. Several ISO standards are applicable to ensure the safe and effective reprocessing of medical devices. These standards cover sterilization, cleaning, disinfection, overall quality management in healthcare setting. So in the coming presentation, we will discuss about the ISO standard and ME standard briefly. EN standard, these standards ensure the quality, safety, efficiency across the various industries and harmonized across the European Union and the European Economic Area. EN standard also gives the European norms. EN means European norm. European also gives the standards for the quality assurance, safety, and efficiency for the medical devices. STM 0101 UK management and decontamination of the surgical instrumentation in a healthcare setting. They are also give that standard gives us and belongs to UK, telling about the management and decontamination of surgical instrumentation. The eighth one is ASHA. Specifically, that standard is designed for the environmental cleaning and the safety for the patient. Ventilation, they are telling about the ventilation requirements and operating room, patient rooms, and the labs, including the air exchanges like that. They will tell us about in CSSD how many air exchanger and how much we have to maintain the temperature and the humidity. There are some standards we are using in our CSSD. Basically, that one is a ISO standards. In different zone have a different standard. So first standard, our beginning of the CSSD, that one is ISO 15883. That standards telling about the cleaning, disinfection, rinsing, and drying. So we are processing in our decon zone like that. We are doing their cleaning and the disinfection, and our first zone means decontamination zone. So when we are doing the cleaning, disinfection, rinsing, and drying, that standard should be implemented. This standard tells about the cleaning. How can we clean the instrument? Which standard we are using? Means which SOPs and indicators we are using for the decontamination zone. So second standard is ISO 17664. It is for the inspection for cleanness and the integrity maintenance and the repair functional testing. So after the we are going through the process. Means first we are there ISO 15883 in the decontamination zone. Second one is when our disinfection is finished. The second thing is most important is how can we inspect the instrument? How can we check the integrity of the maintenance and repair functional testing? So this standard ISO 17664 tells about the what indicator, what KPIs we have to maintain and we have to make to set this standard and achieve the quality assurance. After the inspection, cleanness check, integrity of maintenance, and the when we checks the inspection is done, then we are doing the packing. So for the packing and labeling, the ISO standard falls 11607. So how can we pack the instrument in our trays and what type of labeling and what type of packaging material we are using, their standards we have to achieve. If we are achieving that standard, I will explain this standard in the next in my presentation. What is the standard says that. So the next one is when our packing and labeling is done, the next standard comes if we are using the steam sterilization ISO 17665. If we are using the ETO, ethylene oxide, formaldehyde, and H2O2, the different standards we have to achieve for the sterility assurance level. After the sterilization, ISO 17665, we have to check. This standard says that how can we release the instruments after the sterilization, and what are the things we have to check before the release the instrument. The last one is storage and supply ISO 11607. This standard is tells us about the how can we make the SPS means sterilization barrier standard. How can we meet this one? How can we maintain the sterility level in our packing zone or supply? Which indicators and which SOPs we have to make to achieve the standard. So this standard tells us about the what things we have to make to make the standardize our system. The last one is utilization and the consumption. After that one is showing in this picture is showing the all process flow we are using in our CSSD. The different zone have a different ISO standards, so we have to achieve the all the standard to make sure uh, if we are these standards we have to meet in our CSSD, so we can make sure the sterility assurance level. So here are some European standards. I will explain. EN 285 specifies the requirements for large steam sterilizer used in healthcare setting. These standards tells us about the in our healthcare setting, which hospital, how many beds in our hospital, our bigger hospital, large our hospital, tells us which needs to sterilize the items, which system we requires. That standard tells us about the things. If we suppose if we have a 400 bedded hospital, so which specific instruments or machines we need to cover that hospital. The second one is cover aspects like chamber size. It tells us about, no doubt, chamber size, temperature, pressure, and the cycle performance. The second standard is the ISO 17665. Here you can see there is I wrote EN and ISO. Means some standards are coming with EN. Means EN also endorse the ISO standards. They also implement that standard. That's why I did mention here EN and ISO 17665. That standard focus on the sterilization of healthcare products using moist sheet. This standard specific works for only the steam sterilization, provides the guideline for validation, routine control for sterilization process. That standard tells us about the validation about our machines, and this standard also tells us how which indicator we have to use for the validate that process. Means if we have a suppose a minor repair, major repair, this standard tells us about the what we are doing. If we have the minor repair, if we are going for the major repair, so how can we streamline pipeline after the repair the sterilizer back. The third one is TN ISO 15883 deals with the washer disinfectant. This in the standard quality assurance standard specifically used for the washer disinfectant for cleaning, disinfecting reusable medical devices. Include the requirement for validation, performance testing, and the water quality. This standard tells us about the what we are doing in our decon area. This tells us how can we wash, how can achieve the A0 level, means A0 as well. So and time duration, how can we achieve the A0 value for the thermal disinfection, and what is the indicator we have to use to validate that process. This standard tells us about the things. EN ISO 1140 specifies chemical indicator for sterilization process. We are using the so many indicators in our CSSD like that while we are packing the instrument set, we are using the tape, sterilization tapes, and we are using the internal indicator to check the steam is we are going to check the sterility assurance level. For the means we are using different indicators: type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, type 5, and type 6. Internal indicator, we are using the we are using the internal integrator to check the steam is uh, process tape like that sterilization tape. And the third one, we are here we are using the biological indicator. This is the spores. If the spores are killing, then we will make the probability to achieve the SAL sterility assurance level. So these indicators assurance quality assurance indicator is showing which sterilization process needs to which indicator. EN 868 detailed requirements for packaging material and
In say
sterilization
specific
process.
requirement will allow team to utilize the healthcare setting and plan.
This quality assurance indicator, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Ms. Naveed, you are audible. Please continue. Mr. Naveed, are you there?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. Please continue.
Okay. I think there is an internet issue. Sorry for that one. Yes. So we were there. EN 868. We're talking about the packing materials and the sterilization process. So EN 868 tells us about the what type of packaging material we are using for the reprocess of medical devices. So the next one is ISO 11607. That standard tells us about the in our packing for the terminally sterilized medical devices. After the sterilization, how can we make the integrity of the sterilization? This standard tells us about the things. ISO 11607 tells us about there are two main categories for that standard. First one is tell us requirements for material, steel barrier system, and the packaging system. Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes, please continue, sir.
Yeah, please. Okay. The second one is the validation requirement for forming, sealing, and assembling process. ISO 11607 have two main things when we are going to achieve this standard. First one is requirements for materials, steel barrier system, and packaging system. Means what we are using the packaging material for the specific medical devices. Suppose if we are going to sterilize the low temperature sterilizer, so there are different packaging material for that one. Means if we are going to sterilize the instrument low temperature equipments, so we will use the Tyvek or SMS papers if we are going for the steam sterilization, so there are different packaging material we are using. So third one, the next one is validation requirements for forming, sealing, and the assembling process. So our process should be validated, and when we are doing the assembly of the instrument, and when we are doing the sealing of the our trays or our instrument, that process should be validated. Suppose if we are using the individual instruments, or suppose if we are using the uh, supplementary items, so when we are going to pack in our gusher reels, flat reels like that, we are pouches we are packing. So when we are seal the uh, our pouches, so it should be sealer should be validated. There are different testing we have to perform to before we are doing the sealing process like that. When we are going to assembly the process, means assembling the instruments, so that should also be there is a specific method, means our trays should be equally distributed the instruments we are putting the liner and so many things. This one ISO standard, this one is also include all of these things. The ISO 17665 is specific for the steam sterilization. It tells us about the process. Our process is effective. What we are going to achieve the sterility assurance level, it's effective for medical devices or not. If there tells us about the parameters, if we are achieve that parameters, then we are going to achieve the sterility assurance level. If we are not achieve the parameters, then how can we achieve the sterility assurance level? This standards tells us what is the exact parameters we have to maintain these things. Means temperature, pressures, and the time is most important parameters for the sterilization, steam sterilization. If we are not going to achieve that parameters, the specific range, we cannot assure the sterilization is done. So manufacturer tells us about that things. The second one is process consistency. The consistency is most important things for any process in our CSSD. If first cycle means we are using if a steam sterilizer, first cycle is achieve the all parameters, second one is not, so and third one is achieving the parameters, and fourth one is not, so it is not be correct, it's not following the our ISO standards. So it is most important process consistency should be met. Means if we are doing the 134 degree centigrade for 5 minutes, and the time durations of 5 minutes, and the pressure is 30 pounds. So every process, when we are selecting the steam sterilization, the specific process should be every process 3 minutes, 5 minutes, sorry, 5 minutes, 30 pounds, and the 134. Every process should have the consistency, maintain the consistency. So every process means every process should the same achieve the same parameters for that levels. So then it should be maintain that level and the standardize our system. The third one is safety and quality. Means when we are putting the instrument in our chamber of the steam sterilizer, so our packing is not opening and the wet packs is not coming. It also tells us about the all of these things. How can we achieve the sterility assurance level? And that things when we are going to achieve that things, then we are doing the ISO, meet the ISO standard. So this standard tells us about the all of these things. This also have a two main parts. First one is ISO 17665-1, and the second one is ISO 17665-2. First part is tells us about the establish the general requirement for the sterilization process using the moist sheet. General requirements means we are using the specific paper which we are using for the steam sterilization like that, and development the sterilization process we have to develop what requirements we have to need, because different medical devices have a different manufacturer instructions. We have to maintain that things, otherwise maybe we cannot achieve the sterilization level, surety level, because if the manufacturer device instruction, medical devices manufacturer is telling we have to use the 134 degrees centigrade for the 5 minutes, but in our sterilizer we have a 135 for 3 minutes. We cannot achieve that standard. So each and everything we have to maintain all of these things, then we can achieve that quality assurance standard. So the sterility assurance level is most important things. The probability of single viable microorganism surviving the sterilization process. This is an indicator mostly we are using to make sure that standard is achieved sterilization or not. The second one is ISO 176652. It tells us about the implementing the requirement of the 17665. So this is correlation with the ISO standard 1, offers the practical advice for developing and validating the controlling the moist heat sterilization process. Because in our sterilization process, we have so many protocols and KPIs. When we are implementing that things, then we can go and achieve the sterility assurance level. So that one is ISO 15883. The next standard is we are using this standard in our decontamination zone. There is so many parts. So one is 15883. One is general requirements. It defines and specifies the performance of washer disinfector and tells us about the general requirements, what we have to need, what type of design the process, and what temperature we need to achieve the disinfection level. So that are all of the general requirements we have to maintain for that standards. Second one is 15883, two requirements for washer disinfector of surgical instruments. So this standards tells us about the surgical instrumentation, what type of instrument we are using in the specific cycle, and what type of chemical we are using for the clinic purposes, and in the surgical instrument and similar items, what temperature we have to gain to achieve the thermal disinfection. So third one is 15833 is required the washer disinfector for human waste containers. Human waste container, we have a different program in our washers disinfector. So it tells us about the things what we are using. Suppose we are using bedpans and urinals like basins we are using in our OR. So when it comes to for the disinfection or sterilization, what program we have to make for the disinfection or sterilization. The fourth one is requirements for washer disinfector for endoscopes. When we are going for the flexible scopes, this standard we have to implement it. Means if we are going to doing in our CSSD for the flexible scope, and we have a washer disinfector for endoscopes, this standard tells us about the things, how can we clean and disinfect the flexible scopes. The fifth one is test soils and methods. This standard tells us about the things, how can we test the soils and proteins are removed from the instrument and medical devices. The sixth one is washer disinfector and thermobile endoscopes. This one also tells us about the things, how can we test the endoscopes, and how can we check the temperature is gaining further, and temperature is maintaining and gaining. This one is tells us about the specific things. The AER we are using mostly of the in our hospital, we are using AER, automatic endoscope reprocessor. This temperature is actual the kill the our pathogens or not. This standard tells us about the things. The second one is requirements for dental washer disinfectant. So this standard tells us about the washer disinfectant, which process we have to design and make the for the dental instruments, because as you know, the some instrument is coming with the scales and some dental instruments coming with the cement. So it is very difficult to remove the things. So this washer disinfector is this program tells us about the things, how can we remove, and which standard, and which is the program we have to design to meet the requirements. The next one is key aspects of ISO 1135, 525, 424, and 14937. ISO 11135, 25424, and 14937 is international standard that provides the guideline for the low temperature steam sterilizers. Means which devices is not bear the temperature we are using most of the hospital, like we are using the plasma sterilizer H2O2 and ETO, ethylene oxide, and the formaldehyde we are using. So these standards apply on that machining we are using, and how can we maintain the sterility assurance level, how can we, which type of biological indicator we have to put for the for check the sterility assurance level, and the monitoring the critical parameters. These standards tells us about the all of the low temperature sterilizers. The second is most important thing is AMI standards. AMI standards will focus on the sterilization method, validation, and routine monitoring. So AMI ST79 comprehensive guide for steam sterilization, covering the sterilizer operation, sterilization cycle, and the quality control. Specific ME when designed the 79, when we are going to see that guideline, it tells us about the steam sterilization only. If we are going to chemical and low temperature, so we have to follow the MEST58 guidelines that chemical sterilization, including the low temperature sterilization methods such as hydrogen peroxide and ozones. MEST41 covers the ethylene oxide. This one is specifically guideline used for the ethylene oxide, including the process validation and residual gas testing. The next one is MEST90, standard for the processing of medical devices with a focus of quality management system. The second is most important ME standard is cleaning and disinfection. These standard, three standards we are using for the cleaning and disinfection. The first one is TIR 30, provide the recommendation for cleaning medical devices, including the manual and automated methods. While we are going to manual and automated methods, that standards we have to follow. MEST91 guideline for the reprocessing of flexible scopes. Before I told you about the ISO standards, here we are going to flexible endoscopes, means the ME standards. ME standards for the flexible endoscopes is usually use the ST91. METIR 34 water quality. It tells us about the which type of water and what type of water we to use for the autoclave, and what type of water we have to use in our manual cleaning and for the washer disinfector. The third one, ME standard is sterile processing and reusable medical devices. Reprocessing is the MEST 79. I told you about this one. The core standard for sterilization in healthcare facilities, emphasizing the sterilization of surgical instruments and other devices. The ST91 focus on best practices for the reprocessing flexible endoscopes, and the TIR 68 management of reusable medical devices. The ME fourth standard is this one is when we are going to management and quality, so we have to follow the ME ISO 13485 and ME TAR 45. Quality management, when we are going to manage the quality, so we have to see that guidelines. That one helps us to maintain the management of quality. So the TAR 45 tells about the risk management in the design of medical device software. The biocompatibility and the validation is our fifth ME standard. These standards is coming 10993 standards for the biological evaluation and biocompatibility of medical devices. And TIR 12 designing, testing, and controlling the cleaning processing of reusable devices. The six standards for ME is ST71 for the ventilation and environmental monitoring. That one also ST79 tells us about the environmental control. Like that, we have a different zone. We have to fix the humidity and temperature in a different zone and different temperature. When we have to maintain, like in our decontamination zone have a different temperature, different humidity we have to need, and we have to maintain the different exchange per hours for the air circulation. In our packing zone, we have to positive air pressure, temperature, and humidity we have to maintain. ST79 tells us about all of these things. The second one is TIR 52 recommendation for the monitoring and maintaining clean environments in healthcare. These two indicators tell us about the ventilation and the environmental monitoring. Why standards matters? These are four of these things. That's why the standards is matters. First one is patient safety. Second is regulatory compliance. Third one is operational efficiency. Fourth one is risk management. Patient safety promote the effective sterilization, cleaning, and use of medical devices. Right? And the regulatory compliance aligned with FDA, CMS, and other regulatory body requirements, and enhance the operational efficiency, provide the detailed guidelines for the healthcare facility and the manufacturer. The last one is risk management. That's why its standard is matter. Ensure the consistent practices to reduce the risk of device-related infection. So that one is the most important things while we are going to do the quality assurance standards. So continuous improvement and auditing these standards when we are using. So we have to make sure when we are using the standards and indicators, we have data for the analyzing all of these things. What standard we are implementing the system, and what outcomes is coming out. So that is most important thing. So we have, when we are going to implement the quality assurance indicator, we have data, we have to collect all the information, we have to document all of these things for the analyzing if anything is happening in our department. The second one is corrective action. Implement corrective action to address any deviations or failures identified during the monitoring. If we find any failures or any detects any errors in our systems, in our process, we have to maintain all of these things. So the third one is auditing. Auditing is most important things in our system. If we are not doing the auditing, and if we have not documented anything, so but we are doing the quality assurance standards, and we are telling about our department state of the art, is not worthless, is totally worthless of these things. So auditing is most important things. Internal or external auditing is must be done in our system, so we can achieve the can improve our system in that way. So that is why we are using the quality assurance standards. Today is our presentation. If you have any question, you can ask, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Naveed. I think you have completed your presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let me thank you for a wonderful presentation and enhancing our knowledge regarding sterilization and quality and relevant interventions. Uh, there are many questions in the chat box. Let me please share with you for
Yeah,
the
please.
answers. There are different questions regarding the presentation data to share with the attendants.
So I can see in our chat box, and they are telling there are two types of anesthesia item: reusable and the consumable. Reusable are recommended for the either steam sterilization and the any other type of sterilization based on material instructed by the manufacturer, while the consumable must
Actually,
not be
actually, this is the
reused.
answer for one of our participants. You can also share your insights over here.
Okay. Okay. All right. Actually, when we are doing the reusable medical devices for anesthesia and the consumable, so JCI tells us about the things. If we are going, sometimes we are using too much cost. Hospital not bear the cost for the consumable things. So there is a hospital policy. Also, JCI tells us about the hospital policy. It's not single-use devices. Most of the time we are not using, but the JCI tells us about the things of the single-use devices. They published the white paper 7.1, I think so. So in this, they are mentioning if your hospital policy is used to consumable things, single-use item. I'm telling about the single-use items. If we are using the single use item 2 or 3 times, we can also use, but the hospital committee should have to uh, tells us about the things, means they are testing and they are using, uh, they are contribute the infection prevention committee. They will decide how many times we can use the single use device. So it is important for us, hospital policy, if they are using the single-use devices. So it is mandatory for the hospital quality control committee or teams and the infection control teams. They will decide it. Single-use device, how many times you can use. They will test the device and then they will answer. After that, we can use the single one-time use, two-time use, or three-time use. It's the most important.
Thank you. There are a few other questions. Let me share here. One participant asked for the shelf life of sterilized atoms.
Can you repeat this one?
Shelf life of sterilized items.
Yeah. Okay. There is
Instruments.
a, when we are talking
May I
about the
elaborate
shelf
this one?
life,
Hello, am I
two
audible?
type of shelf life we are giving that on our customers, means OR. There are two types of basically shelf life. One is event related shelf life, and second one is time related. So some hospital are giving some CSSD and hospital policies is event related. Means some event is happened, then we can restore the all items and we can recall the all items. Then it will come in our decontam and then disinfect and the packing and sterilization again. Some hospital are giving the time related expiry, means shelf life. So both are ISO standards tells us about these things. Time related means they are using the different types of packing materials. The manufacturer tells us about the things, which type of material how can will take to expire. The manufacturer tells us
Yes.
about the things. If the manufacturer packing material manufacturer tells us after 1 year you have to reprocess the medical devices, then we have to reprocess the system. It's also most of the hospital I experience event related expiry, but the some hospital also give us the event related expiry as well as time related. Means some hospital design the policy, if within the 5 year if the instrument is used, it's okay. If not any event is happened, then after 5 year we have to reprocess the all of these medical devices. Some hospital give us both of these things. So it is, I hope so.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There is another question from the Mr. Sajid Hussain. Uh, he is asking, if we are dealing with a rise of multi-drug resistant organisms, how can CSSD departments adopt their sterilization techniques to ensure effective elimination of emerging superbugs?
Yeah. Actually, when we are receiving in our decontam zone any instrument, we are assuming, we are supposing every instruments are highly contaminated. There is no category, no, we are not any use the any category and any means pathogens related. We have don't have the SOPs. We are every instrument we are using receiving in our decontamination area, we are assuming all instruments have a highly contaminated. So with we are wear the all SOPs and follow the all instructions, each and everything.
That's great. Thank you. There is a lot of query over here. I think we should go for the conclusive remarks from Miss Sadie, if she's over here. Miss Sadie, are you there?
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone. I believe we've learned a lot in today's webinar session organized by TORG Pakistan chapter, from quality control and quality assurance in CSSD to the significance of quality assurance in CSSD. We learned a lot on standards, ISO standards. I personally didn't even know that there's a range of them like that. It was really detailed and insightful, and environmental monitoring controls, lots of audits involved. I mean, it's really good to see that there is a lot involved in sterile processing, because most times in the operating room, maybe the surgical team, they're just particular about turnover times. They just want to use instrument, just send everything to CSSD, but a lot is actually going on in the background, and it's really good to see those standards that have to be followed just to make sure that the patient is safe and there is a good outcome. So thank you so much. A million thanks to the executives from TORG Pakistan, from our chairperson, Dr. Raza Khan, to the vice chair, and to our speaker for today, Mr. Naveed, who is our secretary, and all the executives in TORG Pakistan. I really want to say thank you as well to everyone that connected from all different countries, about 23 countries registered. I'm not sure if we missed out anyone. If we have missed out a country, maybe by virtue of late registrations, we apologize for that. Hopefully we can update our records Thank you for connecting. I know everyone has been busy and it's not really convenient at times even to have sessions around this time because I know it's night time in Pakistan. So usually we bring the webinars around 6 p.m. BST, but because of the timing in Pakistan, we had to bring it forward for the benefit of everyone. So thank you for taking the time out of no time to connect. I believe we are going to leverage upon what we have learned and use that in our facilities, build upon the knowledge. It's not going to be the end. There's going to be more sessions to build upon what we have learned today. And our next webinar would be coming up by next weekend, Sunday precisely. I think that is hosted by TORG Founding Chapter. That's the Nigeria chapter. It's going to be on workplace, facilitated by the workplace committee. I think it's about prevention of burnout and things like that. So we will start announcing that as soon as possible as well. So for the sake of, for today's session, it's been recorded. So we will upload that on YouTube and share that link across our platforms. And then there is TORG library. So if you go online on the website, we're going to upload this presentation in that library, maybe library 3, so that everyone can have access to that. Like if you want to go through the documentation afterwards. And this webinar session is accredited. So for certificate, I think there might be an issue maybe with some browsers, because I could see the last time we did a webinar, some browsers automatically opened for the certification and evaluation. If yours opens, so that's fine. You can take a minute or two to fill in the details. If not, we will share the link across our platforms. Actually, I can just drop it in the chat box if I still have it. Just in case if yours doesn't open, that's the link to the evaluation and certificate. So when you fill the details, so maybe over the next couple of days, because of volumes, it may not really be authorized immediately. So just give us like a couple of days. Certificates will be sent out to everyone who requested for that based on what is filled in. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to connect. I want to say good morning. I want to say good afternoon. And I want to say good evening, good night, depending on your time zones. And we will see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a million. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye,
you very
everyone.
much.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome. Bye. Have a nice day.